All right, guys, let me explain about the group project. I'm going to first explain the logistics of how you find your group and how you do the work that is assigned, and then I'll explain about the project itself. So first, I have added myself as a user in a group, and I am in student preview. So the screen should look the way that yours looks as well. Um, so first thing that you need to do is go down to my groups. So you go down the course menu, and under there it will say my groups. I have added myself to here in group 2. There are 2 places that you need to look, but just notice that there are several tools that are available to you. You can collaborate, just like Blackboard Collaborate, and talk to each other. There is a place for exchanging documents. There is a place to send emails to everybody in the group or one person in the group. There is a group discussion board. For our purposes today, we'll be doing 2 things. First, you need to go to File Exchange. File Exchange is going to show you 2 documents. One of them is the brief, and the other one is the actual explanation of the project itself and what we'll be doing. The second place you need to go is to the discussion board. Here is where you will find the work that you need to do. And this is just another copy of the document that's in File Exchange. So there is a Google slide for each group. When you click on the link, it will take you to your classes hearing group with the hearing group number. Anybody should be able to type into this. I need each person in the group to add their own information to the group, or I need to make sure that everybody's information is in there. So here is the slide. This talks about the signature assignment, and you are to choose roles for this first go round, and then you need to put in all the names of the members of the group. You put in your name, and then you put in your picture and put it by the description. I don't know what this stuff is. I never took it off, so it's going to stay there. So there are actually 7 roles that are available, and so each student will choose one. Oh, Barry Brooks is not a role. There's 7 roles that are available, and this last page tells you what we will be doing on the various group days. So it just kind of gives you a timeline of what we'll be doing on group days through the project. So your job will be to pick your role and put your picture there and have all the names of the member, have your name there under the members of the group. So that is what you will be doing on group day. If y'all can get together and talk, awesome. You can email each other. You can go on the discussion board and create another thread and talk to each other that way. Or it can be first come, first serve. So whoever is in there and has already chosen a role, you can't choose that role. So that is what you will be doing for group day, in addition to taking your quiz on the group day. How that will work. A few years ago, I went to a workshop, and I had no idea what to expect, but they called it a signature assignment workshop. And when I got there, I learned that a signature assignment is one that applies several different skills and knowledge from your particular area of expertise. So I'm a government teacher, and I'm a government teacher that has a legal background. And so I was trying to find some way to integrate several different things. And you will notice here that this just explains the skills that we are working on in this particular assignment. So definitely we're going to be working on specialized knowledge. This is the stuff that you are learning in this course. Little by little, we will address civil liberties, we will address interest groups, we will address advocacy, we'll talk about the federal court system. So all of those things we will go through in our coursework, and you'll take quizzes on, and then we will be applying that in this particular exercise. You're also going to be working on integrated knowledge, knowledge of other areas. We'll be working on intellectual skills. Some of the assignments that I will ask you to do are going to be asking you to analyze, to think through how you feel about certain things. And we will be doing communication about the things that you have analyzed. We are going to be working on collaborative learning. That's the group part of this. And then maybe lost a little bit in translation, but we are going to have our hearing, which is going to be non-synchronous or asynchronous, I think is the word that we use these days. So all of the videos will be recorded on Flipgrid, the way that you did your greeting at the beginning of the semester. And you will be applying this work that you have been building up. And then, of course, civic learning, just how things work, what cases say, how things work on a college campus. And so it is real life application in this pretend environment that we are creating. So the assignment is this. You will start off with assignment 1. And assignment 1, some of you've already started working on it, but it is due next Wednesday. And the assignment 1 has you go through and really look at where you stand politically, how you feel about issues, as to get a baseline. Where am I? Am I conservative? Am I disaffected? Am I liberal? Am I conservative on business but maybe liberal on social issues, or vice versa? There is no right answer for any of this, but it gives you your baseline so that you know what you're working with. And then as soon as I get you to understand where you are, then I am going to be asking you to work outside of that. In some instances, you'll be working with it, but sometimes you will have to play a role that is at odds with how you actually feel. So in our pretend scenario, we have a student who I have named Sam Student so that it can be unisex. Sam Student applied or entered a contest at his or her community college. So the first role is student. Now the student won't be speaking. So I was telling you that we'll be recording videos in the Flipgrid. The student won't be saying anything in the Flipgrid. And if we were doing this in the classroom, the student wouldn't say anything in the classroom. So this is a non-speaking role. But Sam's student entered a contest for the local newspaper, the campus newspaper at any community college in Texas. See how clever I am. And so these were the rules. It said that you have to follow school rules, that the student code of conduct applies, but we need a political cartoon or a political article. And a political article is not a report. It is an editorial. This is how I feel about this. Um, and so Sam student entered and won the contest. Now the prize was that Sam student would become a member of the staff of the newspaper. Sam student would get $250, and Sam student would have their cartoon or article published in the school newspaper. Enter the school president. So the school president takes one look at this entry and says, there's no way that this is getting published in my school's newspaper, and blocks it, and doesn't let Sam student get the money, says that Sam student can't become a member of the staff, and so just totally stops the presses, literally stops the presses, because the president thought that it was inappropriate. The president is another non-speaking role. Now, if your group only has 6 people, only one of the students can be a non-speaking role, and you pick if you are the student or the president. I will tell you that of these, the student roles and the people that are advocating for the student is easier. It's less challenging because it makes more logical sense. You really have to kind of reach in deep and make some counter arguments if you are going to represent the president. What was the president doing? Why did the president have every legal right to do this? That's the whole 9 yards. So far we've talked about 2 roles. We have talked about the student and we've talked about the president. Let's talk about the other roles. One of them is the attorney for the student. This person or these people, because there will be one from each group, will speak and advocate for the student, and basically say what happened to the student was not fair. This was a violation of whatever rights, and you'll outline exactly what rights those were and advocate like you were at a hearing. And when I say hearing, I mean hearing. This is not Perry Mason. There's no objections. This is like a debate. So this is a case that is on appeal. So you got the attorney for the student. The interest group that will advocate for the student is called the American Civil Liberties Union. Now, one of the group days, you'll have to go do some research on some cases or on the organization. So the American Civil Liberties Union is a special interest group that is full of attorneys that argue for the civil liberties of citizens. Sometimes what they argue for is very popular. They sued the United States government last year, or actually 2018, when the American government was separating parents that had crossed the border seeking asylum from children, and said that this was a violation of the civil rights of the children. Sometimes what the American Civil Liberties Union advocate for, because as far as they're concerned, their client is the Constitution. Sometimes they'll be advocating for people that are on death row to be off death row. And sometimes those people have done horrible things. But if they believe that their civil liberties have been abridged, the American Civil Liberties Union is going to be right in there. Now, in real life, the interest groups would not be speaking at a hearing. They would write a brief and say, hey, judges, just want to make sure that you knew A, B, and C. That's called an amicus brief, amicus curiae brief. But in our scenario, the interest groups are going to speak. The other interest group is called Family Research Council. The Family Research Council is a group of Christian leaders that get together and advocate for issues of biblical and religious import. So again, you would do a lot of research on one of the group days, and you will look at their website and you will see that they advocate for pro-life, but then you will also see some things that really have nothing to do with religion. You'll see some advocacy for Second Amendment as well. But just know that they would be very conservative, that they would be very Christian oriented, and that their arguments would come from a Christian frame of mind. I have had the students that were playing this role have a lot of fun with it. They go into the Christian Bible and pull out scriptures and basically preach a sermon. So you can have a lot of fun with this and make not necessarily legal arguments. You can make moral arguments with this one. Then, of course, one of the students is going to have to be a judge. We will have one judge from each group. The judges, if we were in the classroom, would be sitting up at the front of the room in my freshly cleaned robes that I purchased a couple of years ago. In this instance, they are going to read all the arguments that people are posting on the Flipgrid, and they're going to decide together who wins. So each of them will get a vote, and then they'll have to explain in detail why they voted the way they did, and then from there we will determine which side won, the student's argument or the president's argument. So the 7 roles are judge, student, non-speaking, president, non-speaking, the attorney for the student, the attorney for the president, argue on their behalf, the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union representative, the Family Research Council representative. So you have to pick one of those, and everybody will have one. Then when we finish, you'll make your arguments. If you have a speaking role, you'll make your arguments, and then the judges will decide who won. All of that gets posted in a Google Doc, and then you go and do assignment 5. Who had the best argument? How did this assignment work for you? Which if you're back into your own self, which one do you agree with? How would you have decided the case, basically? And so that is due the last day of class. Each hearing day, we will be doing something different. and I will give you your instructions, and it will always be posted on the discussion board, and I will grade each student's participation. So if you don't do your stuff, that's not going to affect the members of your group. It'll affect them in their ability to finish, or to be effective, I should say. But as long as there's something with your name on it posted with the instructions that I've given you, then you get your 5 points for group day. And so, if only one of you does it, then only one person gets their points. So it group really helps to be more effective, but there is no way for you to get a bad grade because the members of your group don't cooperate. Of course, we're going to have to do this asynchronously unless you guys can come up with a time to talk. But the document is due in 1 day. So, and I'm not going to take off a whole bunch of points. If you're still working on it, just let me know, and I'll work with you there as long as I know that you guys are working on it. The last thing that I want to do is show you my brief. This is some messy stuff, but you will find very quickly that legal attorneys really plagiarize. I mean, we just go in, we find an example, we plug in our stuff. A lot of things look exactly the same, and that's exactly what I did. I went and I found an appellate brief. I plugged in my own information. And so this is our brief that we'll be working from for the hearing and for the group. So here we have, this is the case that is in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. The case was originally heard in the District Court, the Northern District of Texas, Fort Worth Division Court. And of course, we will talk at length about the court system and the way that it is set up, the federal court system. It has a list of cases. There are many more, but those are the ones that I did cite. At some point, each student will be assigned either an interest group to research or one of these cases to research. Then I put a list of the interested people. These mirror the different roles that students have. And then I put the 2 questions that are being presented for review. Now, in our pretend situation, the student sued the school. That is really hard for a person with a lisp to say. I apologize. The student sued the school and lost in district court. So this is an appeal where the student appealed and said that the district court made an error and is asking the Fifth Circuit to reverse the decision. So that means that the students and the students advocates are the ones that have brought this case to the court. So this is the question. Did the district court make an error? And that's the word that we love to use in legal circles, error. Did the district court make an error when it ruled that community college students have reduced First Amendment rights like employees? So we're saying that they did make an error, but that's what the district court said. Students have reduced First Amendment rights. And number 2, should the district court have reviewed individual artifacts to see if exceptions should be made, and I see that I have a word missing, for individual articles or cartoons. So assignment 2, I am going to actually have you write editorial articles or draw a political cartoon. And so once you finish that, then everybody that wants to will submit their articles under file exchange or a picture of their cartoon, and the group will pick which one is going to represent the group. So there should be 3 for each class, 1 from each group. And then I have explained the case as I explained it at the beginning, that entered a contest, was supposed to get $250, didn't get their money, and didn't get it published. And the district court ruled in favor of the college presidents, and the students appealed. Now, so that means that if everything goes as planned, that there will be 3 attorneys for the student arguing for admission of their group's cartoon. There will be 3 ACLU. There will be 3 Family Research Council. There will be 3 judges, and 3 students whose job it is to compile all the information and write a summary of the arguments that were made on behalf of the students. So what you'll have to do is write, and the presidents, what they'll do the same thing. You go through, you pull out all the arguments that are in president's favor, put them in a summary, and so that everybody can see that. So you end up doing more writing as a student or the president than you would if you are in one of the speaking roles. So I'm getting right to 30 minutes of explanation. Remember where we started. What you're going to do is, when you log in, you are going to go to your group. You're going to find these documents in File Exchange. You are going to go to the discussion board and click the Google slide to actually put your picture, the names of the people, everybody in the group, and you will complete that, and I will look at the Google slide to see all of your pictures, what role you'll be covering, and who all is in the group. Then finally, by next Wednesday, you need to complete journal entry 1. And of course, I don't have it available. So let me just go ahead and exit student preview so that I can show you journal entry 1. Journal entry 1, and you can go straight to journals, or there'll be a link. There's a link in lessons as well. Ask you these questions. What do you think about the assignment? I'm the only one that's going to read this. Do you understand it? Do you think that this is going to be interesting? Do you think this is going to be challenging? Are you scared? Do you think that this is ridiculous? Then it asks, how civically involved are you in your community right now? Which role do you have? So that's just a repeat. Do you have any questions?